Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Well, it's kind of funny, but you look at the calendar, and we're already into October, and yet, Christmas decorations abound. I was kind of shocked when I went into a big box store towards the end of September, and I found all their Christmas stuff in the front of the store, and all the Halloween stuff pushed to the back of the store. And it was 6 weeks to Halloween, 3 months until Christmas. But again, this is how shopping, consumer preferences, and how businesses market holidays has changed. I mean, listen, how many times day after Christmas do you go and find Valentine's stuff out there? That's what it is. It's about marketing. And again, the internet has kind of changed this too. But it used to be, and I remember this, Black Friday. That wasn't an event. It was a sport. Families would sit there and plan on Thanksgiving their shopping assault. And then businesses said, okay, let's stretch the hours. Let's open at midnight. Let's open on Thanksgiving. And it's almost as if I think consumers started to push back on that because you then did not see that big rush of open all night type of things. And you started, and then the pandemic came in, of course, that just really kind of wiped everything out. We went back to these values of having Thanksgiving for family and Christmas for family, And again, you can shop though online and retailers will let you know, oh, you can shop online on Thanksgiving, even though our stores are closed, blah, 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 the same thing. You know what I'm talking about. And one of the big debates was stores that would open on Thanksgiving. And it never bothered me, and it never made a big deal and a big impression on me. And I've mentioned it a couple times on this podcast that, we're growing up and working in radio. I worked every holiday. I did not have holidays off. Now, as time went on, I could pick and choose when I worked, and I preferred to work on, like say Christmas and New Year's. I preferred to work the morning shift simply because then I'd have the rest of the day with my family. The downside is on New Year's Eve, I wouldn't be able to stay up and watch the ball drop. And if I did, I'd be exhausted the next day. But, again, you suck it up for 6 hours and then you can go home and sleep all day and watch football, whatever, that thing. But where I'm going with this is how holidays are marketed to consumers has changed. And I don't think it's a bad thing that businesses have cut back on actual store hours. Now, listen, Black Friday is still Black Friday, and it is still a big day. And of course, you go back to the history. The reason why Black Friday got its name is because that was the day that most businesses, retailers, would be in the black for the first time all year because that's where they would make a majority of their sales. I mean, listen, a majority of businesses' sales occur in the last 6 weeks of the year, and that's an important time. Of course, the worst time in the year is January and February. I mean, listen, there is a reason why you see a lot of businesses shutter in the early part of the year because sales are so down. And it is very difficult to try and keep momentum going. So listen, and what you've seen is right after Christmas, Valentine's stuff goes up, and then, Valentine's and Easter, and you got Easter stuff. And then you all of a sudden, oh yeah, it's Mother's Day and it's Father's Day and it's graduations. And next thing you know, it's back to school, and back to school starts, back to school starts the next day after the kids are out from school. I mean, seriously, that's what it is. I mean, I understand it. It's marketing. I mean, and the internet has also changed it too, because you can shop online and case in point. Okay. At work, I have a desk that, as somebody pointed out to me, is basically falling. It's leaning. And they're like, you need to get a new desk. And I said, yeah, I guess you're right. So I have been looking at desks for a while. Well, here come Amazon Prime Days. And I found a desk, and I also had a couple of Amazon gift cards. So $130 later, I have my new desk for work. Now, the downside is I'm going away for a short trip up to New Jersey, which I'll talk about in just a second. And when do you think it's going to be delivered? Yeah, when I'm gone. So we have a lady who takes care of Hope, our little dog, and I'm going to have her either try and drag it into the house or just leave it out front. Hopefully no one will porch pirate it. But we have pretty good, we have a bunch of bushes, and you can't really see stuff that's on the porch from the street. So I think we'll be okay unless somebody comes up. But again, it's a desk, and it's heavy. So it's going to take some oomph to carry it. So I mentioned this because, and I'll say this from the experience, that remember I said we went to a big box store and I happened to see a slot car racing set, and it's a brand new one, which had my favorite Formula One driver, Lewis Hamilton, in it. So and Sandy and I were there. She said, "Do you want it for Christmas?" Yeah, well, that's my Christmas present, which I'm happy with. Only problem is now I'm going to have to take down my HO set and set up this set because it's a bigger car set and it's not compatible with HO cars. Yeah, that's the way it works out. And again, if you're a slot car fan, you will understand HO is 1/64th. There's 1/43, and then there's 1/32 in terms of slot cars. And if you remember the old days where they had those big tracks, slot car racing tracks in the 60s, late 60s, there was one in New Jersey out in Pine Brook where I grew up in West Caldwell, and that was 1/32nd slot cars. So you had to have a special slot car to race there too. And then I needed, the HO slot cars are the ones with the little track that you had, the Aurora HO, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, anyhow. Now I mentioned I'm going to make a special trip up to New Jersey, and I am really, really excited about that. My sister was one of the original staffers at Barnegat High School when they reopened Barnegat High School in 2003. And she has been a coach there since 2003. Well, earlier this year, I happened to see a press release that they were going to start a Barnegat High School Sports Hall of Fame. And they were looking for nominations, and they were going to do one coach. So being the good brother that I am, I went and filled out this application, but they wanted a lot of detail, how many games she's won, how many titles, how many sectionals and all that. And I was like, I don't know. I said, there is just one qualification. She's the first Barnegat High School coach to go into the New Jersey Interscholastic Coaches Hall of Fame. That's the only thing I put down. And I submitted the application, but the only thing was they wanted people who were retired. So I said, I don't know. And as it was, I talked to my sister very infrequently. I mean, we exchange texts every so often, more so during football season because she's a Viking fan. I'm a Giant fan. And we each, it's Sunday night and your team sucks. I mean, that's our favorite thing to do. But anyhow, well, actually, it's my favorite thing to do. But be that as it may. So I kind of forgot about it. And then I get a phone call a couple months later and she goes, boy, you really know how to keep a secret. What are you talking about? Because October 17th and 18th. What are you talking about? And she goes, I'm going into the Sports Hall of Fame for Barnegat High School. And you nominated me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did. And she found out because she talked to somebody who said, yeah, your brother nominated you. And other people did too, but they said your brother nominated you. So I said, oh, all right, I got to be there. So we're going up to New Jersey, and I really am not surprised here, but the weather in New Jersey is going to take a turn for the colder next week. And it's going to be cold when we're up there. We got to be at a football game on Friday night. So we'll have to break out the winter jackets, which we never use except for maybe an off day or two in January or December here in Georgia. So I'm very proud of my sister, and she will be part of the first class Barnegat High School Sports Hall of Fame. Also, on this day, October the 9th, that I'm doing this podcast, you're going to quickly say that it was John Lennon's birthday. Yes, you're correct. It was John Lennon's birthday, but there was another important birthday that occurred in 1996. And that was the birth of my daughter, Stephanie, who has been my pride and joy. And as I said in my Facebook post, gave me the best title I've ever had in my life, Dad. Happy birthday, Stephanie. That is Tripp's Take for October the 9th, 2025. I'd love to hear your comments and questions about my podcast. Please feel free to email trippstake@gmail.com. Fantasy football players, the Hall of Famer Mike Sheck and yours truly, Tripp Rogers, will keep you up to date with the Fantasy Sultans podcast. You can find that on Anchor on Spotify for podcasters. Also, you can find it on YouTube. Just search for the Fantasy Sultans. And also, don't forget about my new podcast, Tripping Up with Phil Yale and yours truly. It's a music trivia challenge, and it is posted on YouTube and Spotify, and you can find that. In fact, we're going to be taping another edition of that coming up on Monday, and we do that. That's kind of a weekly thing that we do, and it's all kinds of music trivia, and Phil tries to get me every time. If you like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, listen to WTRSradio.com online. Join me again for another edition of Tripp's Take soon. For now, I'm Tripp Rogers. Thanks for joining me. Make it a great one.